There was a time when I believed love was something that had to be earned by proving my worth every single day, by saying the right words, making the right choices, and never letting my imperfections show. But as I look back now, I realize the greatest lesson was standing quietly in front of me from the very beginning, whispering through every conversation, every moment of silence, every tear that fell unnoticed, and every smile that carried hidden pain, yet I was too distracted by my fears to hear it. And today, if I could speak to the version of myself who was so determined to control every outcome, I would simply say, you should have listened from the start, because love has never been about perfection. It has always been about presence, understanding, patience, and the courage to remain kind even when life feels uncertain. Sometimes we imagine that love is found in grand promises, dramatic moments, or impossible sacrifices, but the truth is far more beautiful and far more practical than that. Love grows in ordinary mornings when someone remembers how you like your tea, in quiet evenings when no words are necessary because understanding has already filled the room, in the gentle reassurance that says, "I'm here," without expecting applause or recognition. We often overlook these simple blessings because our minds are trained to chase excitement instead of appreciating consistency. Yet the strongest relationships are rarely built on endless excitement. They are built on trust that survives disappointment, compassion that softens misunderstandings, and forgiveness that chooses healing over pride. If only I had listened from the start, I would have realized that every meaningful relationship asks us to become better listeners before becoming better speakers. We spend so much time preparing our replies that we forget to truly hear the heart standing in front of us. Sometimes people don't need solutions, they need someone willing to understand their fears without judgment. They don't always need perfect advice, they need steady presence that reminds them they are not facing life's storms alone. Love teaches us that emotional safety is one of the greatest gifts we can ever offer another human being. When someone feels safe enough to express their worries without fear of criticism, love begins to deepen in ways that cannot be measured by words alone. Many people grow up believing they must hide their emotions because vulnerability has been mistaken for weakness, but genuine love gently challenges that belief. It reminds us that strength is not pretending everything is fine. Strength is allowing ourselves to be honest while trusting that kindness will meet our honesty with understanding rather than rejection. Looking back, I can see so many moments when my heart already knew the right answer. But my pride insisted on being louder. Pride often disguises itself as confidence, yet underneath it usually hides fear, the fear of being misunderstood, abandoned, or not being enough. Love invites us to set that fear down, one small step at a time, because no relationship can flourish where fear controls every decision. There is a quiet wisdom in learning to pause before reacting, to breathe before speaking harshly, and to remember that every person carries invisible battles that we may never fully understand. Perhaps the person you love is smiling while silently carrying exhaustion. Perhaps they seem distant because they are overwhelmed rather than uncaring. Perhaps they need patience more than they need perfection. These possibilities change everything when we choose empathy over assumptions. We often regret the words we say in anger far more than the words we leave unspoken in kindness. If only we remembered that every conversation plants a seed. Some words become flowers that encourage hope, while others become thorns that remain in someone's memory for years. This is why emotional responsibility matters. We cannot control every feeling that visits our hearts, but we can choose how we express those feelings. Love is not the absence of conflict, it is the decision to protect each other's dignity even during disagreement. The most beautiful relationships are not those where people never argue. They are the ones where respect remains present despite different opinions. Listening from the start would have taught me that winning an argument is meaningless if it costs the closeness of two hearts. Understanding is always a greater victory than being right. There is something extraordinary about the quiet people who love consistently without asking for recognition. They send encouraging messages, remember important dates, celebrate your progress, comfort your disappointments, and remain beside you when life feels uncertain. These people remind us that love is not measured by dramatic declarations but by dependable actions repeated over time. Consistency creates trust, and trust becomes the foundation upon which lasting relationships are built. In today's fast-moving world, many people confuse attention with affection, but they are not the same. Attention can disappear as quickly as it arrives. Affection remains even when circumstances change. Genuine love chooses commitment over convenience, understanding over ego, and gratitude over entitlement. Every healthy relationship flourishes when both people continue appreciating what they already have instead of constantly focusing on what is missing. Gratitude transforms ordinary moments into extraordinary memories because it teaches us to notice the blessings that routine often hides. Imagine how different our lives would become if we ended each day remembering one beautiful thing about the people we love instead of replaying every small disappointment. The human mind naturally notices problems because it is trying to protect us, but the heart grows stronger when it intentionally notices goodness as well. This balance creates emotional resilience. Love is not blind to flaws, it simply refuses to let flaws become the entire story. Every person is still learning, still healing, still becoming who they are meant to be. When we understand this, compassion becomes easier. Forgiveness becomes possible. Hope becomes stronger than disappointment. Perhaps the greatest lesson hidden inside the words, "I should have listened from the start," is not about regret at all. It is about awakening. It is about realizing that every day offers another opportunity to choose patience instead of frustration, kindness instead of criticism, curiosity instead of assumptions, and love instead of fear. None of us can rewrite yesterday, but every sunrise quietly offers us a blank page. We can begin speaking more gently. We can begin appreciating more sincerely. We can begin listening with our whole hearts instead of only our ears. These small choices may seem insignificant in a single moment, yet over months and years they shape the entire story of a relationship. The strongest love is rarely built in extraordinary moments. It is built through thousands of ordinary choices that quietly say, "You matter to me." And perhaps that is the simple blessing we all need to remember today. The greatest expressions of love are often the simplest ones, offered consistently.